I'm tired of my ex-husband John's wife, Sarah, wanting to be friends with me just because he cheated on both of us. I don't understand why I'm in this situation, and honestly, I'm frustrated because even my own family tells me I'm the bad one here. I just need to vent. I don't need any advice or somebody telling me, do this, I think you should tell her this, or I would write her this or this. More than 17 years ago, my ex-husband, John, cheated on me with a woman, Sarah, whom I didn't know, but she knew me. He left me for her. Our only daughter, Isabella, was a baby, and I just moved on with my life. I'm never going to fight for a man who makes immature decisions without first thinking about the consequences. He married Sarah. I went on with my life, preferring to have healthy co-parenting for Isabella. He never showed remorse, and had even told me that ours was always a mistake, and that Sarah was the love of his life. That helped me realize that he's a total dick, and I don't need a man like that in my life. Now, he cheated on her, and for some reason, Sarah, who always had a really cold and distant relationship with me, is insisting on trying to talk with me every day. I found out about the infidelity from Isabella, who wasn't affected by that, so I didn't think too much about it. The only thing that worried me was knowing if he was going to be able to continue having Isabella at his house on weekends as always. But Sarah started sending me messages explaining what happened, when I never asked her that. In the past, I only spoke to her if John didn't answer my text to ask something about Isabella. It's obvious that she needs to talk about it. It doesn't matter if I answer dryly because she sends me long audios talking about it anyway. I mean, I understand that she needs to talk about her husband's infidelity and blah, but why me? I don't want to be rude, but I don't care how she or he feels. In one of her audios, she says, "You know how I feel now." Like, I guess, but that was 17 years ago. It's not the same. And if I'm being 100% honest, she can't compare herself to me at all. A woman who has just given birth, to whom her husband tells her that he has been cheating on her for a long time with another woman who is not boring in bed and does know how to value him, versus a woman who always knew that her husband is unfaithful and decided to marry him anyway. Anyway, I've tried to ignore her as much as I can, but even when I talk to my family or friends about this, almost all of them told me things like, "Oh, but she must feel lonely, but she wasn't to blame for being the other one. I think you should be more empathetic. We all need someone to talk to." Or my favorite one, "She's not to blame for him being a cheater. You should understand her because she needs help." I understand that she is not to blame and he's the cheater, but she, a totally adult woman at that time, decided to marry a man, John, she knew was sleeping with her while his wife was pregnant. So why should I now carry the weight of helping her when she never helped me by telling me, "Hey, your husband slept with me, and that's really shitty because he's married to you?" Or that's what I'd do if a married man flirts with me. Now, if she didn't do any of that, then why is it my duty as a feminist to force myself to be her friend? It doesn't make sense. And the worst thing is that almost all the women around me tell me that I should help her and be her ear when I don't want to feel empathy for her or for him. I think Sarah and John knew very well what they were getting into. I don't understand why I should be her free therapist now. Being cheated on is not my whole personality. I don't need to talk about that 24/7 with her. I just chose to ignore her, and that's what I'm going to continue doing because I just don't care how she feels. Even if I'm a bad feminist for not feeling empathy, sorry. My first language is Spanish, and I wrote everything pretty annoyed. I can't block her because she's still living with John, and I need to have her contact me in case of an emergency with Isabella. And honestly, it's weird to have so many comments and even private messages from people wanting to tell me what I should send to her, and even writing what I feel. I'm sorry, but there's no way I'm going to use the message of a stranger who doesn't know how I feel or the whole situation to say something to someone. I feel like a lot of people in the comments are reflecting their own traumas. Hi, it's been a while since I posted, and I just wanted to give a little update for people who were worried. First of all, my mother was a lover for a long time when I was a teenager. Plus, during my adulthood, their relationship lasted long years until he died. I think his wife never found out about his affair. That's why my mom manipulates me so much into not judging John's wife, Sarah, because no one chooses who to fall in love with. My mother always reflected herself onto Sarah, and that's why she said that John and his lover, now wife, are soulmates and I shouldn't get in the way. I was very young at the time. I could only lean on my mother for a little support, and well, narcissists always catch vulnerable people. Nowadays, I don't have much contact with her, but Isabella spends time with my family. And about my friends, well, I am a feminist activist, and opinions regarding lovers are divided because most of them are on the liberal side. Most of the time, it's seen as something misogynistic to judge them because they are single women, and the man is the one we should blame. Plus, we need to be sororas with other girls, so I expected that reaction from most of them. I agree with that in most cases, but not in this one. I can feel empathy when the woman did not know or when she is a minor being groomed. But in this case, I do not feel any pity because she knew well what she was doing. Women can also be mean and cruel. Women can also choose to be the bad guys in the story without someone manipulating us because we are not weak. And John's wife, Sarah, is that kind of woman. No one manipulated her into doing anything. I'm sorry, that explanation was perhaps unnecessary, but there were people who didn't understand my family's and friends' behavior. And honestly, it feels good to vent. I have spoken with John's wife, Sarah, because honestly, a few days ago, I had a really stressful day, and the last thing I needed was to see her messages in my WhatsApp, so I just exploded. I planned to continue ignoring her, but that day I was upset about things about my work, and I ended up telling her everything. I sent her an audio telling her that I'm not interested in her life or in the fact she's suffering. I told her that I am not her friend, nor am I interested in being one. She never asked me for forgiveness, and now she expects me to start the group of women cheated on by John. I told her other things, and I would love to be able to post videos here. I told her that she knew very well what she got herself into. She knew well that John was capable of cheating on the mother of his baby, but she still decided to marry him and live the stupid fantasy that she could change him and that she was different from all the other women he was with. God, I hate long audios, but it was plus 5 whole minutes telling her that her situation and mine are nothing alike. I think that was my greatest catharsis. She got upset, and we started arguing. It was quite tiring, and the last thing I want is to have problems after 17 years of having normal co-parenting. I know they are not going to get divorced, and that means I will have to live with Sarah in my life forever. So I sent a message to John, resending him one of the audios Sarah sent me. I took the work to listen to them all, and she never apologized to me. I don't need her apologies, by the way. I don't care, but some comments asked me about that. They were just audios complaining and wanting us both to speak badly about him, or wanting to have me as her free therapist. I told John to tell his wife to calm down and pay for a psychologist. He apologized to me and told me that they are both working on the marriage. So they're at the stage where she still feels angry and insecure with him. Like, yes, obviously idiot. So since I suffered the same, no, it's not the same. She felt that we could share the pain. He told me that they both started going to the online conferences of, I don't know, what couple who teach how to get over an infidelity. Sometimes I feel envious of people who can scam others so easily. Anyway, I told him that I'm not friends with Sarah and that this affects our co-parenting, so he should put a stop to her if she doesn't understand what I say. In the end, he reluctantly told me he was going to talk to her, and I've gone 3 days without any message from her, except today, one where she just told me that Isabella was sleeping there. So I guess it worked. I don't care if they live a happy or miserable marriage. I don't care if she's happy knowing that he cheated on her, but stays with him anyways. I just want to live in peace without getting into trouble with people who, at plus 40 years old, are still living mentally in high school. A coworker asked me to be her man of honor. I said no, and she went nuts. What did I miss? This happened yesterday, and I'm still confused. Yesterday was my first day back to work after being off for 2 weeks. This is kind of important. One of my coworkers had gotten engaged the week before I left. When she announced it at work, we all did the congratulations and were happy for her type of things. I thought it was over, so when I left for vacation, last I knew, no plans had yet been made. Then yesterday, when I went back to work, my boss, Sue, and best friend, Emily, said that the coworker, Megan, was looking for me. I asked what was up, and they weren't sure, but she was carrying a little gift bag. A few minutes later, Megan found me and asked how my vacation was. I was telling them about it, and she cut me off and said she had a very important question to ask. She handed me a little gift bag and asked if I would be her best man of honor for her wedding. I thanked her and told her that typically this would traditionally go to a close female relationship. She responded that there was nothing traditional about her wedding, so it was good. I looked over at Emily and Sue, who were both trying to keep from laughing. I again thanked her and congratulated her and told her that I wasn't interested in being part of her wedding party and that I would be happier being a guest in the audience. I swear, when I said this, it was when we watched her entire demeanor change and a switch flipped. She went off, saying that I have to be at her wedding and that she doesn't understand why I would say no. I told her that we only knew each other for a short time and that I had no interest in trying to plan parties, dinners, and shopping trips. She told me I needed to think about it, and she would get back to me later. I told her to go for it, but my answer will be the same. She walked away, and I looked at Sue and Emily and asked, "What the ever-loving fresh, creepy hell was that?" Sue started to laugh and said she didn't know, but saying no like I did might have saved me a lot of headaches in the future. Emily made the comment that she went straight to Bridezilla, and this was a look into what she was going to be like. Megan came back today. However, she went with a different approach and handed me a list of what she wants me to do and her vision of how she sees things. I asked her why she gave me this, and she said that as her man of honor, these were my responsibilities. I told her again that I was not going to do any of this. She said again that she needs me to do this and how much fun it was going to be. Then she asked, "Haven't you ever wanted to be the part of something special?" I told her I was. I was a nurse. Enter Sue, who could sense that I needed help and told Megan one of her patients needed her help. I told Sue that if this keeps up, I might need her help. She said she was already watching it and would intervene if I needed it. What did I miss? We aren't that close. She just transferred down to my unit from a different unit 6 months ago. I had no idea who she was until that point. Emily is saying that she is close in age to me, and she might feel that to be enough of a connection. Did I miss something? When we are asked, are we supposed to automatically gush and jump up and down in excitement? Why is saying no a bad thing? Hey everyone. First, I apologize. I never thought this was going to go as crazy as it did. I want all of you to know I read all of your responses and responded to as many as I was able to. Thank you all for your amazing insights and comments. Many that made me laugh, which I needed. I have been sick, and that really helped to cheer me up. I had to meet with my lawyer today regarding family issues. My neighbor, best friend, and co-worker, Emily, took me. I really felt awful, and driving wasn't a good idea. We were talking about this on the way, and we both were asking a lot of the same questions that all you were asking. The big one was that we were asking about the circumstances of her transfer. She went from Med-Surg 4W to the ER. That is a huge change. I have to work tomorrow, so we will see what happens, but Emily and I are going to ask Sue about the transfer and raise a couple of other concerns. After I got home from the meeting with my lawyer, I slept for the rest of the day. Many of you asked if Megan and I hang out outside of work. The answer is no. I really don't know anything about her. I have helped her a few times with patients and different things, but our relationship is 100% purely work-related. That was why I was so surprised that she asked me to do this. That is why I was so surprised that she asked me about being the man of honor. I have a very small friend base, and in all honesty, I like to keep it that way. I really have no interest in being a part of this. I'm not a wedding person. After reading so many Bridezilla stories and hearing about over-the-top weddings, they have become a huge turnoff to me. Spending tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars with insane, unrealistic demands that turn people against each other. Why? I would rather use that money and spend that time planning my next trip or vacation. Many people said that I was being used as a token or prop in a wedding or a gay best friend. I never really thought about it. I admit that I'm out and proud, but I'm not going to just pretend to be someone's friend just so they can fulfill some kind of fetish they have for wanting to have a gay best friend or some kind of status she feels the need to fulfill. It takes me a lot to get offended, but if this were actually the case, then I would really be rather offended. I was not put on the face of the earth to be someone's play toy. A lot of people have said that maybe she doesn't have a boyfriend. She does. She has brought him in before. If she has any insecurity, I don't understand it. She is attractive, smart, and knows her stuff, so I'm at a loss as to why she is acting like this. A lot of people say go to HR. I'm starting that process with my boss, Sue. She is completely aware of the situation, being with us when all this happens. She has told me that she is watching the situation and will jump in if I need her to. I trust her completely. While Sue and HR can control the situation from the hospital, they can't control the situation from a personal level. If she were to maybe follow me home or a situation like that. So I think that covers it all. I wish I could say this is over, but most likely there is more to come. I'll be posting an update in a day or two. Things came to a head today, and it was pretty much just as everyone was saying. I need to take some time to understand everything that happened today. I also have a meeting scheduled Monday with the director of nursing at my hospital, which should bring closure. I hope so. This intro is going to be long, but I'm telling you about this for a reason, and later in this update, it will make sense. I'm hoping this will be done and that this will be the last of this whole situation. I was born into a family where I was referred to as an issue that needed to be dealt with. I lived in the shadows of my sister, who was the child my parents wanted. They wanted one child, which was a girl. That way, Dad had his daddy's girl, and Mom had Mommy's little princess. Then I came along. Keep in mind that I'm 23, so back then, my parents had options, but chose not to use any of those options. So instead, my parents raised my sister, and I was raised by a nanny who, even to this day, is one of the biggest influences in my life, and I am so grateful for her. She helped me so much. I finally realized that all these years later, that by being referred to as an issue that needed to be dealt with, they stripped me of my humanity and individuality and self-worth as a person. I think that's why I have worked so hard to establish myself in my career and in my life, as a way to become a person again and not just be that issue that needed to be dealt with. This past Thursday, things came to a head with the bridezilla known as Megan, and the truth came out. My best friend, Emily, has been sticking close to me when we worked together in case Megan was to start something. We weren't sure if she was going to leave it alone or start up again. I was really hoping that it was done, but she had to try once again. I've been sick, and I had a busy morning, so I really just wanted a few minutes to go to the bathroom, grab a quick snack, and maybe breathe. Megan came up and had her list and asked if I had a few minutes to talk about the wedding planning. I looked at her and told her again that I was not interested in being part of her wedding, that I was not going to help in any way, and that she needed to drop the subject and leave me alone. Again, she went into the whole thing of how I was going to do this and how much fun it was going to be. Here we go with that line all of you love. Why in the ever-loving fresh, creepy hell is it so important for me to be your man of honor? I'm not interested, and I'm not doing it. It is exactly as pretty much all of you told me it would be. She was just planning on using me as a token or a play toy. She took all of the gay stereotypes that are out in society and put them into one sentence. What modern, liberal woman isn't going to have a gay bestie on her arm for special events? I felt everything in my stomach move, and a wave of nausea came over me, and I felt like I couldn't get to the bathroom fast enough. This pissed Emily off to no end. Emily is really kind of like the overprotective sister that I wish I would have had, and took Megan off to visit our boss, Sue, and laid it all out, everything that was said. While I wasn't in on that conversation, Emily and Sue filled me in on what was said. Sue came to check on me, and I was still hiding in the bathroom. She knocked on the door and asked if she could come in. I asked her for a bottle of water first. While I was waiting, I realized two things. I realized why I chose not to hang out with her and why I didn't like her. I couldn't figure out why I didn't like Megan, just that there was something that gave me the heebie-jeebies, but I realized that I didn't like her because she is a different version of my sister. While Megan is educated and employed, she doesn't care about other people and their feelings. She is like my sister in the sense that if she wants something bad enough, she will figure out how to get it. The second thing I realized was that she did exactly what my parents did to me. She completely dehumanized me and reduced me to an entity, just kind of turned me into a token or a thing for her. I think the word that best describes it is I must be a play toy. What really gets me is that just like my sister, Megan doesn't think she did anything wrong, and I'm being too sensitive and a delicate snowflake. The next day, an emergency meeting was held at work, and Megan is being suspended pending investigation, and a new transfer is being looked into. Sue made the request for her to be terminated. The director of emergency nursing said this was a last resort, but she was going to be looking into options, which could be sending her to a new hospital or facility. This didn't go over well with me. I asked what would happen if she did the exact same thing to someone different. She didn't really give me an answer, but she said she still needs to look into a few things, and at this point, she is suspended. Anyway, here it is. I'm still pretty sick and had to work this weekend. If I can, I'll respond. I want to thank everyone for all the amazing support. I am going back to my lawyer to see if he can figure out how to send her a cease and desist letter to make sure she doesn't contact me. I'm heading to bed. Have a good night. I keep forgetting to thank my boyfriend. He has been with me on this, but more in the background. First, when we were laughing about it, but when everything Thursday happened, he was there as well. Emily was able to get him away from his unit for a little bit for the okay boyfriend hug. He stayed the night with me a couple of nights as well, also helping with me being sick. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have such great support.